Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. The idea for this podcast, I'm going to show you slides of my garden. And the idea started yesterday evening. I had made moon water. I don't know if you make moon water, but I do moon water for each week, basically every phase of the moon, the quarters and the new moon and the full moon. And so I'd left it out all day and well, overnight actually. And so I went to get it in the evening so we could have a sip of it before we went to bed. And so I went out and got it. I just use a quart jar with a ring, that you screw on the top of there with a cheesecloth, piece of cheesecloth draped over it. I should have had my jar here to show you. And I just fill it with filtered water and set it outside. And um, usually, once in a while, I feel the moon water energy. Most of the time, I don't really feel it as anything different than ordinary. But I like hold intentions with the new moon, and I hold extra gratitude with the full moon. And but last night was different. I'm real sensitive to energies of most every kind, and anyway, but like I said, I don't usually um, notice a difference of the energy of the moon water. But last night, wow, it was so powerful. It was working inside me in energies. Um, it was just beautiful. And I could tell it was helping clear old stories, was what it was getting at, and helping me release those. And and it reminded me of what the moon energy is this week of the with all the different star movements, and the sun and the moon together this week are very powerful. And while the moon water is powerful too, and each time I take a sip of it, still it is just wow. I just hold it in my mouth for a while, and these energies are just going through me. Anyway, and so this morning, after the moon water, I was looking in my garden, and as I do every morning, and I just wanted to encourage you to get outside to enjoy nature in whatever form it's easy for you to enjoy. And if you can in any way, to grow some plants. Either it's best in the ground, but it works in pots as well. If you can have only have room for pots, or only have time for a few pots, then do that. Nature is always working in our favor, and each of the different plants has its own energies that will bless you and will work with your energies to for your highest spiritual good. And so I wanted to show you pictures of my garden, and so they as an encouragement to see all the different energies that we have around us that you might never notice before. And here we go. This is my passion flower arbor. I have a copper pole right through the middle, and my husband had built the arbor for me with raised beds on both sides so I can grow flowers. And this is one of my favorite. I make flower essence with the flowers. I make tea with the leaves. And this is calendula. It's a very nice yellow flower that is good for many things um, in herbal teas or in herbal salves and things. And it's a beautiful little flower that's easy to grow. This is my regular basil that I have. I love to make pesto all summer long. And it got a little late start this season, but it's growing well now. And this is just another shot of the garden. And I have lots and lots of coneflower or echinacea that's so good for when you feel like you're catching a cold. You add a little bit of ginger to some echinacea root or echinacea leaves in tea and make tea. It's really good for you. And this is my butterfly bush that's often covered with bees and butterflies. And these are sweet peppers. I can't say these are in my garden, but my husband grows the peppers, and so these are the sweet peppers. We grow these in tubs just to be easier. Not all our soil is real good in our yard, um, or it's real clay centered. And so some plants grow well in tubs, and we grow them in tubs. Others don't grow well in tubs, so we grow those in the ground. And this is blackberries. I've been picking lots of blackberries every night. And so anyway, I don't see any ripe black ones right in there, but it was an easy shot to take. And I just encourage you, when you're out in the garden, if you're out in the public park, if you have a chance to go hiking, all these things take time to touch the plants, to feel them, to ask to feel their energies. And each has their own. And this is melons. There's several different kinds of melon in our patch. Some are different honeydews, some are regular melons, and this is just one end of it. We're blessed with many, many melons this year, or the plants. We haven't got any ripe yet. They'll be ripe in August. This is elderberries. I have a number of clumps of elderberry bushes, and last week or over the weekend we picked tons and tons, about 90% of our elderberries, and the others are coming ripe now. I need to go out today and cut some more and bring them in, and I'll have enough to make elderberry syrup, the healthy kind, all winter. We take a tablespoon a day. You make kind of a add water and cloves and cinnamon and brew the tea, and then when the tea is done and it's cool, then we add honey, and you end up with about a quart jar of delicious elderberry syrup that'll last about 30 days in your refrigerator. And I'll also have enough this year to make pancake syrup, I think, with the elderberries, as well as perhaps jam ins instead, maybe, or in addition to. I don't have enough to make wine with, or I might try that. And oops, sorry, hit the wrong button. There we go. And this is my Tulsi basil. It's a herbal tea that's good for your spiritual growth and for calming you. This is hibiscus, the perennial kind of hibiscus, and I have several plants around the yard. The flowers are good medicinals too, are good for teas. And this is some of my zinnias. I grow zinnias every year. I just love them. They're so bright and pretty and grow so easy, and they're just beautiful. And this is a sunflower, that not the edible kind, like a decorative sunflower that should grow probably 6 feet tall. It might not get that tall this year, but anyway, so that's a sunflower, not quite ready to bloom. I grow milkweed. Let it grow in my garden for the birds, for the bees and butterflies, and so that's some of the milkweed. And this is yarrow on the left side of this. Well, right in the middle is yarrow. And over to the side is marshmallow. I love to grow that too. It's often used in herbal teas, or in capsules that you might put the powders in. It helps calm the stomach and makes things easy to go down, easier to digest, feel better on your stomach. This is called clayome or spider flower, and I just love it. It's such a beautiful, unique flower. In a way, it's like the passion flower, vine flower. They're both so unique and uh, gorgeous, so different than typical flowers. And so these always add lots of good energy and vibes to my garden, and they always put a smile on my face. And this is comfrey. Comfrey is such a great herbal plant too. It's highly medicinal. It's called bone knit is what the Latin word means. It's it helps you heal your bones. It's also good for pain. It's anti-inflammatory and anti um, mm, what do you take? If something gets infected, this would help. That just slipped my mind, that word. Here's the bottom of the photo is at my kind of at the street entrance to my house and yard. And so I got more zinnias showing. I had irises earlier. I have again more coneflowers and a big rose bush there. And this is Gerber daisies. I have 2 pots of those. They don't overwinter here where I live. But again, all their energies, they're just blooming their heart out. It works for us. It's to enrich our lives, enrich our own energy, and it's lovely. And this is an indoor hibiscus, or in some parts of the world, it would grow as a perennial, but here where I live, it does not grow as a perennial. So I bring it indoors every winter. I have 2 different ones of these. This is a double red blossom, and my other one is like I call it tropical. It's just a gorgeous kind of a magenta, yellow with the tips are orange. It's beautiful. And this is my Rosa Sharon. I have 2 different trees. This one's a lavender one, and then I also have a rose colored one. And oops, um, that's the end of this slideshow. I have another slideshow. I had it all in one, but the StreamYard had a limit on how many megabytes it could upload. And this is poppies, perennial poppies. They're an orange one, and I'm just getting it started this year. And there's just you can see 3 there. There's just 2 or 3 more. Here's a tiny one right there too. 2 or 3 more. So I'm just getting started. I look forward to next year. I might get a bloom from one of these bigger ones. So you can tell our soil has lots of clay. It gets big cracks when it's drier, and we've even had lots of rain, and this is still so we haven't had rain for a week now today, and you can see the cracks are starting to grow. So I'll put some more mulch around this so that they can make it through easier. And there's lots of rudbeckia, or black-eyed Susan. These are a larger black-eyed Susan. I've also started some plants. I'll show you later. I started them from seed. They're tiny, tiny black-eyed Susan. They're not blooming this year. They're a biennial. And so they grow one year and bloom the others. These ones on the picture, those are perennial. But the little tiny ones, I'll talk about those later. But I have a story to tell you those. Here's one of my lavender plants that's just blooming. And in all these, if you look closely, you can see weeds. We're dealing with Japanese beetles like we do every summer. They're just, I'll say, nasty. They're just an awful bug that is no good for the plants, no good for the garden. We don't like to spray hardly any because of the bees and butterflies, especially the bees. But to harvest anything like the blackberries, we have to spray the blackberries in order to have us get any. Otherwise, the Japanese beetles destroy the plants and eat by eating all the leaves, and then they eat all the fruit too. It's just they're just awful. And what we notice too, we live in a rural place with lots of farms around, and this time of year, it's mainly the soybeans that are growing in the fields. Sometimes there's corn in the summer. The wheat has already been harvested. Sometimes there's milo or other grains, but farmers will spray. They'll notice the Japanese beetles eating their soybeans, and to save their crop, they spray, and mainly they spray aerial spray. Here, you have the smaller planes go over back and forth, spray in the fields. They've been spraying every day for a week or so now, and it doesn't kill all the bugs on their soybeans. It chases them out of the fields, and the bugs come to town and devour our garden. So I'm not real happy about that. Here's another perennial hibiscus, a kind of a magenta or a very deep pink color. And this is a red honeysuckle. It doesn't smell like a lot of honeysuckles do. And it's not real, doesn't gather a lot of bees and butterflies, but I had gotten it from a dear friend of mine. Um, and so I keep growing it. It's a vine, and I have it on a real low type trellis, and I just trim it back every couple years. And there's the one you saw before, the big kind of magenta deep pink hibiscus along with the lighter pink hibiscus. And then trying to remember what this is. I think this is another picture. I think maybe I put the milkweed in twice. Sorry about that. And here's yarrow. I think we saw yarrow before, didn't we? The yarrow with the marshmallow to the side. And um, here's at my front door. It's just some garden art, and I grow impatiens, and they're beautiful. It's in the shade most of the day. Get some direct light in the afternoon or evening, and there's supposed to be one more butterfly, but we had a big wind come through a few weeks ago, and it kind of ripped where the other butterfly is attached to it, and so I've got to find a different way to attach it to the door. And and there's my front door also, more impatiens. They just grow so lovely in the shade. And this is horsetail plant. It's good for your teeth and gums. It doesn't overwinter here either, and it's an aquatic plant. So I leave the pot in a bucket and fill the bucket with water, and then I bring them indoors in the winter. But my husband and I've been taking like a quarter a teaspoon or less every morning in a glass of water for years now, and it keeps us away from the dentist, which is good. Takes away the pain if we have any. And there's some more zinnias, and if you, I don't know if you noticed, right in front by the sidewalk is oregano. I'm growing oregano with my zinnias there. So another fun thing. And here's more impatiens, and here's a behind the impatiens is a ficus tree, an indoor tree or a fig tree family. It doesn't produce fruit, it's just decorative, and it's large. Not this past winter, the winter before, and all the winters before that, I had overwintered it, and but the last time I grew it here 2 winters ago, it almost seemed like it was dying, and so I repotted it, and then my neighbors across the street have a heated room in their garage to keep all of their plants over winter. So they were gracious and kept my fig tree over winter. And she said it didn't lose a single leaf. It was awesome. And here's my little granddaughter's play kitchen, and it's just more impatience around here. And here on the in the right front right hand corner, you'll see one of my garden gnomes. This one's just painted red. Again, things to bring energy um, to the garden, to bring a smile to my face, to increase my energies. And for all the flower essences in the air every day to work on my heart and soul. And here's wild yarrow. The yarrow I showed you before was more of a variety that I had purchased, but this is the wild kind that grows everywhere here. And this I use the wild for our medicinal purposes. It's good for pain. The dried yarrow, as probably the fresh too. I just haven't used it for the fresh. It's real good to clot your blood. Like if you get a scratch or a cut, you can put yarrow on it. In fact, in what I've heard is in up until World War II, I think even during World War II, the all the soldiers in all the wars had a little medical pouch that they carried with them, and one of the items in the medical pouch was always some powdered yarrow, so they could put it on a cut to stop the bleeding. And Here, I was taking a picture. It's coneflower or echinacea, but I was taking a picture of what's in the very middle. It's one of my mullein plants. It's just a pasture weed that the flower stalk can be 6 foot tall sometimes, or this is about 5 foot now, I think, 4 to 5 foot tall. And it's so good medicinal too. It's just one of my favorites because, again, it's just so unique and unusual. The flower is, and it's so many good things. And this is mustard greens. The roots are where you get the mustard like you'd put on your hot dog from. And this is the plant that would grow above the roots. And so we eat the mustard greens, the leaves or the greens. We eat those sauteed or eat them fresh, the real tiny ones. We can freeze them, and then my husband likes to stir them in the scrambled eggs as he cooks the eggs every morning. And but I always let it go to seed and save the seeds so I can use them the next year. And this is a burdock plant. Usually they're much bigger than this. Usually they're, say, 5 foot tall or something. This is only like 2 foot tall and already getting ready to flower. Burdock is a wonderful, wonderful plant of anti inflammatory, antibacterial. It heals deep wounds. Like if you got a burn over a large section of your body, it'll heal the skin, help it grow. It's just a wonderful plant. And this is the new black-eyed Susan, the ones that very, very little seed that very flower head, but it grows like 4 foot tall or more and it's just covered at the tops of all the flower stalks or all these little bitty stems up and down the stalks. And it's just gorgeous. I used to grow these all the time when many years ago when my boys were growing up. And then as we moved and moved and moved through our phase of moving time, I had lost the seeds and or didn't have room for them anymore. And but I had found that my sister was growing them, so she saved me seeds last fall, and that I started them this summer. So they won't bloom this year; they'll bloom next year. But I always remember these are such a favorite of mine, and they bloom usually they bloom July, August, and September, I believe, or till frost. And my grandmother had died during an August, probably close to 20 years ago, 18 years ago, I think. And she loved yellow and she loved flowers. And so for when it was time for her funeral, I filled the vases packed full of these bright, tiny yellows, black-eyed Susans, and as a memorial to her, and brought those to the church. And anyway, so that's my story of those. My husband also, he's trying an experiment this year. So these are, what do you call it? Cherry tomatoes, or this one's aroma tomato that he's trying growing in buckets attached to the poles in our garage on our dog pen, and it's working quite well. The plants didn't get very bushy and everything, but most of the cherry tomatoes like keep vining and vining and vining, and so he's been enjoying doing that, and we've been getting some tomatoes. And this is a cucumbers. It's a wonderful year for cucumbers. We've been getting a lot of them. This is zucchini. We've only gotten two, and the bugs are getting them all, the squash bugs. So we're not having good luck with that this year. This is a regular tomato. You can tell there's lots of tomatoes on it. And what's this? This is a watermelon. It has some cantaloupe or other melon along the left-hand side by our greenhouse, and then out in the middle here is watermelon. It'll get ripe probably the end of August. We'll start having that. And this is mainly weeds. You can see lots of weeds, but if you look close and you see the fine feathery things, that's our asparagus that's gone to seed. We have a patch of a large patch of asparagus. And because a couple years we used prairie hay as a mulch for the asparagus to help get it started and established, then all the seeds from the pasture then have grown here, along with the birds pooping along the way and delivering the seed from trees that are around the area. So it's it becomes an overgrowth every summer, and we just let it grow, and then we'll cut out the trees and the larger weeds and mow back the tops after the tops of the asparagus die, and then we'll start from scratch again next year with just the asparagus plants growing. And my it's good to do energies in your garden or your yard or even on your balcony if that's all you have. Do some type of solar light or something, or a garden gnome or something fun that chi or the life source energy all around us that we breathe and that fills us and this it loves the what a toddler would love. It gets excited and curious like a little child does. And so I do fun things in my garden for myself to make me smile, to make me feel warm and nourished. But it's also to stir the chi and bring more chi to the garden. And this is, you can see one on either side of the sidewalk is our very large linden trees. I really missed the energies of the linden tree this year. Usually in June or July, they fill with they're covered with tiny little blossoms that smell so sweet, and then the bees come in. Usually there's thousands of bees that cover the trees. And this year, our fruit trees, our almond trees, as well as the linden trees, um, the blossoms, they weren't open yet, but they were on the tree because it was a mild winter and they were on the tree. And we had a very late, um, gosh, I can't even remember when it was, end of March, very, very deep freeze. Excuse me, that was like 12 and 15 degrees Fahrenheit. And we didn't get any fruit from our cherry trees this year, or we didn't get blossoms on the linden trees. And I missed the bees a lot. I hope they find what they need. And this morning, this is the other thing beside the moon water. Then I got the idea for this as I was picking zinnias to bring into a pot, a vase into the house to show you these energies and encourage you to um, have the energies, that you like, and to be part of your garden. Anytime we can be out in nature and be grounded, try to go barefoot or wear leather-soled shoes if you can, or moccasins. I have a pair of moccasins I often use in the garden, or barefoot when you can. And or even just with your hands touching the plants, your hands will feel that energy too and will ground you that way. So thank you for being part of my slideshow and watching my garden. Please let me know which was your favorite, and what you do for your garden. And thank you. Please like and subscribe, and so that others can find the channel. And if you want to increase your energies, if you want to grow the energies in your body, in your biofield, by releasing the stuck energy that fills our biofields, all the roadblocks and detours of our divine energy flow, then I'd be glad to help you. Just drop me a message, and we can visit on a Zoom call to see what might work for you best. So thank you. Bye-bye.